Hello, my name's Hayley. I'm an EY teacher here in KIS, and I'm a real advocate for play-based learning. I think that play is not just the best way that children learn, it's actually the only way that children learn. And I'd like to encourage you to think about that in terms of big picture human evolution. If you think about it, what a child is hasn't really changed for thousands and thousands of years. So although our society has changed and we've got a much more organized society than we had thousands of years ago, the thing that a human child is hasn't changed at all, it hasn't evolved, and what a human child is a learning machine. That's what they're there for, they're there to learn so that they can become a member of society. So if we look at the past and the way that children learned in the past, before we had an organized society, they learned everything they needed to learn, all of the skills for life, through play. No matter what we're teaching, it might change, the way we're teaching them, the way they're learning through play will never change. Children will always be play-based learning machines.
Play-based learning is so important, especially in the early years. It's when our students really begin to explore and experiment and try new things and find out where their interests and their passions are. It's through this that our students really start to become inquisitive and inquirers of the world. And that's something that we really try and develop right from our youngest of learners. It's through this that our students begin to really see themselves as inquirers and agents of their own learning. And through that, they begin to really develop those key skills, those skills for learning, those approaches to learning that will carry them through into the PYP, into the MYP and the DP and beyond. Through following these passions and their interest, they begin to start asking questions that's feeding into the thinking skills, the research skills, social skills, how the students collaborate and work together, how they are self-managing, working on collecting evidence and finding information for themselves. That all begins at that youngest stage and carries through to really develop and build those lifelong learners that we hope to see.
If you think back to maybe more traditional types of classrooms, you might cast your mind back to your own education and you might imagine seeing children sitting in rows at desks, and there's not a lot of interaction between the children in the classroom. Most of the teaching and the talking is done by the teacher from the front of the classroom. In those types of situations, the children are not getting to practice social skills. They're not getting to practice their speaking skills. So we mostly want in the early years for our children to be great speakers, to express themselves well. They don't get to do that in a traditional environment. They do get to learn that when we ask them to play. The reason that that type of education was invented was to train children during the Industrial Revolution to grow up and be adults that worked in a factory. And it's really funny, if you look at those old style classrooms and you look at an old style factory, they actually look exactly the same. People working in rows, a bell dings every now and again to tell them to move on to the next activity. A boss or a teacher stands at the front and barks orders. So that way of education is no longer relevant in the world, so we don't do it in our classrooms. Instead, we try to engage them with hands-on activities that they like and that inspire their curiosity. That's going to turn them into the kind of person who wants to research, who wants to find out new things in the world, who wants to be a problem solver, who wants to find a cure for cancer, who wants to help us colonize Mars when the Earth runs out of space to live. Those kind of inventive, innovative people are brought up in a play-based way.